Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome, welcome. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream. You're joining, tuning in, say hello in the comments. What up? Let's go. Got my button. I got lots of energy this morning. I've got my Red Bull. We're skipping the coffee. We're skipping the coffee today. We're going straight to the Red Bull. I am feeling good. It's going to be an awesome week, everybody. If you're tuning in, say what's up in the comments. Love to hear from you. I just got back from a week-long ski adventure. James Roloff in the comments. What up, James? I don't know if you can hear that. It's my trap horn. Happy Tuesday, James. Hope you're having a great week. Thanks for tuning in. Coffee is better. You're right. Coffee's better, but I've been gone for a week. I just got back last night, 10 o'clock, and I had a couple Red Bulls in my bag. I don't have any creamer, and I cannot drink straight coffee. That's my problem. So I'm going to be just amped up today. Got back super late last night from a ski trip out in Colorado with the homies. Had an awesome time. And now we're back drinking Red Bull. We had some of these on the ski trip, but this is saving my life today. Welcome, everybody, for joining the live stream for the first time. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I open up my office and we talk all things careers in claims. Totally open format. If you have questions, something that's burning in your mind right now, you want to know, feel free to drop it in the live stream comment section. We'll chat live. Otherwise, I've got some questions prepared throughout the week that I'm hearing from people I'd like to go over. The whole idea here is, look, if you've got a question about your career, claims, how to level up, chances are there's someone else out there in the LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube universe that has the same question as you. And so our goal here is just to help people level up in their careers and help 100 people get jobs in the year 2026. We're calling it the road to 100. Welcome. Does Red Bull give you wings? I've got wings right now. I've had one sip. Let me tell you, it's giving me wings. I don't know. Some of the best marketing company on the planet right here, Red Bull. This stuff is absolutely horrific for your body, but my goodness, does it taste good. Makes you feel good for a little bit, but I'm going to probably pay for it later. Yeah, this stuff's awesome. Shout out Rockstar too. I don't know, I'm a big Rockstar guy too. Also probably horrible for your insides, but it gives you a boost of energy when you need it. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Everyone who's hanging out here. Say hello in the comments. Love to hear from you. If you've got questions, you can ask them live in the comments. You can also scan this QR code or go to the comment section where I've posted a link to my website, crewtalentgroup.com/office hours, where you can ask questions anonymously. I've been on a little bit of vacation for the last week. I've got my inbox is blowing up right now. So if you have sent me a message in the last like 5 days, haven't heard back, I'm going to get to you. The best way to reach me, though, is right here on this live stream every Tuesday. So this is the best spot to chat. I'll always be here every single Tuesday, live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and we'll be here hanging out. But yeah, I got quite a few messages, especially on Facebook. I will get back to you eventually. Just settling back into my office right now, hanging out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. This is one of the big things I've been kind of asking. I post this on LinkedIn. I post this in a couple Facebook adjuster groups. It gives Curtis heartburn. Yeah, it gives a lot of things. It's not great for you, but sponsor me, Red Bull. You can sponsor the podcast. But yeah, one of the things we've been talking about recently is just obviously careers in insurance, but from the other perspective, I wanted to know what actual adjusters are looking for in their companies. And what I hear constantly over and over and over and over and over again is salary and remote work are the two most important motivators for people, it seems like right now. But I think there's a lot of other really interesting things that companies can offer. And if you're a company out there in the space, some things that you should be thinking about to driving candidates to apply or want to work at your company. We all know this is a pretty competitive space, especially for kind of the higher tier, more specialized adjusters. We're talking like commercial auto. We've talked about this a lot on the live stream, but commercial auto, liability, general liability, some of the newer kind of lines of insurance, cannabis, cyber. These things it's really hard to attract great adjusters into your company because it's so much competition right now. So if you're a company out there, what can you offer that other companies aren't, or what can you talk about or advertise or communicate to potential and future employees of your company to get them to want to come work for you? How can you attract the best talent? So I've been asking this question. If you're in the comments, I would love to hear from you. If you're watching the show, I would love to hear from you. What do you look for in a company outside of salary and remote work? We know salary and remote work are super important for people. Obviously, you go to work for money. People are loving working a hybrid, working remote. But I'm also hearing a lot of other things. And so I talk to people every day. A lot of people are willing to go into the office. A lot of people are salary isn't the number one motivator for them to go to work. And so what are some of the other things? So I'm asking that. Pop it in the comments. I'm going to drop in, or I'm going to start talking about some things that people have said, or some of the feedback I've gotten, some of the comments, some of the messages that I've gotten about this. And yeah, let's rock. Cheers. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you're having a great week. But yeah, so some of the things that I've been hearing on these topics recently. Yeah, so I posted this on Facebook, this exact same question. Got some really, really good answers, and also on LinkedIn. Workload and the company taking decisions out of the adjuster's hand. Minimal authority, overriding claim approvals or denial decisions, and forcing operations to be removed inconsistently based on the opinion of people granting authority, thinking the estimate can only be one way. There's 8 different ways to cut the pie, and it varies by who you're talking to and is not consistent across the company. It's an unbelievable amount of work that costs the company production and turnover. So that comment, a lot of words, kind of what I would say there is just people want processes. People want authority. People want to be able to make decisions in their job, and they want to feel confident in that, and they want their supervisors or bosses to like back them up. And so that's one thing I hear a lot is just like, if you're going to work for a new company, people oftentimes want to know what that claims process is going to look like. What kind of authority do they have? What kind of, like, can they make decisions? Do they have to run everything up the chain? And having standard processes, workflows, and things like that, it seems to be important to people. And if you're a company out there, how do you communicate that in your process? I think that's something that if you're an adjuster and you're in an interview and you're talking to a hiring manager, talking to your potential future like supervisor, these are questions you absolutely need to be asking in the interview process. Is tell me how your claims process works. Tell me what types of authority. Tell me how many pending files an adjuster on your team typically has, and those are important things. Let's see what else people are saying. Quit screwing with our pay. Salary is important. We hear that a lot. So yeah, you can have all these other things too, and I think it's a whole pie. You got to look at the whole big picture. If you're going to a job, it's more than just pay and benefits, but yeah, pay is important. Workload is important. Workload is important. Again, if you're an adjuster in an interview, this is something you absolutely need to be asking in your interview is like, what's the standard expectations of an adjuster? How many pending files do I have? If I have this huge backlog on Friday, am I allowed to turn my computer off, or am I working through the weekend? Because all of a sudden, higher salaries, you're working 7 days a week. So things you need to know. Flexible schedule and metrics. The workload can be a lot when trying to meet metrics. I would say the adjusters have more freedom in their day, not tied down to the desk. You know what needs to be done. If you work 6 to 3, great. 9 to 5, wonderful. 12 to 8 is your call. Flexibility is where I'm at. Having to use PTO when I just need 4 hours in the afternoon. So basically work flexibility, and this is something that's awesome. I've always had jobs that, for me as a recruiter, have been pretty flexible. Obviously now I work for myself, so I can go skiing in Colorado all last week. But if you're an adjuster, You know, it's a little bit different. There's timelines, there's important metrics that your company is going to be looking at, and so sometimes it's not possible to kind of do that type of work, but sometimes companies do allow it, and especially smaller companies or like TPAs. What I'm finding is a lot of the people, it's like, do your job. That's it. Do your job. We're going to give you this workload, and as long as you're hitting, you know, the metrics that you need to be hitting, obviously, like you have to contact an insured who files a claim. There's laws around that, right? There's certain days that you have to. A lot of times you have 24 hours to contact an insured. So if you can't hit that, then you're going to have a problem. But sometimes companies are okay with, you know, maybe you have to pick up your kids, you know, at school in the afternoon, and you can run away for an hour. And as long as you're still getting your work done, that's fine. There's other companies that if your bubble goes yellow for too long, your boss is going to be on your booty. And so, again, important things to ask in the interview process. You want to make sure you understand what the work dynamic is like, so you're not coming into something not knowing what's going to be expected of you. If you're just joining, the question of the day is, what do you look for in a potential company outside of salary and remote work? So what are you looking for in a company? You're on the job market, or recruiter like your boy reaches out to you. What are you looking for in that new company? Love to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. I'm going through some ones that I've gotten via my DMs, and also I've posted this in a couple groups. So work-life balance, company culture. Big. People work for people. People quit managers. I think I've heard that over and over. People don't quit jobs, they quit their manager. And so if you have an awesome leader, sometimes like a little bit less pay working for an awesome team is desirable. So it's something to really think about. And if you're a company, like investing in your leaders, giving them training, giving them opportunities for them to grow and understand how to be better leaders is super important. Let's see, here's anonymous participant 440 says, flexibility, good workload. If the workload is astronomical, compensate the adjuster for working extra hours to get the files completed. A good claim system that incorporates AI and EFT as well as DocuSign. Claims close faster this way and settle quicker. This is something that I hear a lot. And we're hearing kind of more and more now. And I think one of the big things we've seen over the last few years is like claims counts are going up, and adjusters are expected to work more claims. Or on the flip side, like the IA side, the pay for individual claims is going down. And so what does that mean if you're an IA out in the field, is you have to work more claims to make the same amount of money. But the flip side of that is, what tools are you able to use to, like, is that firm going to give you more better tools to use? And so you know, a good example would be Eagle View. And so if you're an independent adjuster and you're going to go out and work claims, a question you could ask the manager, the recruiter, is like, hey, what tools do I get? And I don't think anybody's diagramming how roofs anymore the way they used to. But there's certain companies that you get the claim, you get the Eagle View. They just send it to you. That's an awesome tech integration that they have. And a benefit to you that's going to make your job easier. And that's just one example. You know, if you're a TPA, having a really awesome claim system that integrates AI, I know that's a big buzzword right now, but do they have a good claims process that's going to allow you to work this massive workload of claims? Because if you're expected to work a huge pending count, you know, do they offer, what tools do they offer? They have an enterprise claim system that they built in the 90s, and now they're expecting you to work a claim load of 200. Well, that's probably not going to be super great. But if they're asking you to work a ton of claims, but they've got this super awesome integrated system it's just automatic, and it makes your process and your life super easy, well, that's a little bit more doable. So again, questions you can be asking in the interview that's not just like, hey, what's the pay going to be, is tell me about your claims process. Tell me about the systems that you use. Tell me about the tools that you give adjusters to use. What do people like using these tools? Where do people struggle? And those are some things that you can kind of check out, some of these different things that aren't just salary and how many days you're in the office. And if you're a company out there, these are things that are important to people. And so if you've invested millions of dollars into building this super awesome claim system, you need to be telling people, you need to be posting about it online, you need to be advertising that to future potential employees, because that will drive people to go work for your company. Access to Copilot. Shout out Copilot. Love our AI. Fair fee schedule for property claims. That's money. Let's see. Unlimited PTO not being offered. Unlimited PTO not being offered. They don't want unlimited PTO. We've talked about unlimited PTO here on this live stream before. Talk about it again if people want. I'm not going to get into it right now. Let's see. There are two types of claims employees. The ones that don't work and want tons of benefits, and the few that want tons of work but want the pay to match. Like, there's a lot of different types of claim employees. Anderson's just looking for an opportunity to get their foot in the door. Again, if you are just joining us, this is the Claims Recruiter office hours every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I hang out here for an hour and answer questions about opportunities in claims. So if you're here hanging out, say hello in the comments. You can also ask questions live. You can go to my website, crewtalentgroup.com/office hours, and you can also submit questions live there. I will answer them in the show if you don't want your boss to see that you're in the comments here. Okay, a couple more. Really great response to this question by Alan Hoffman on LinkedIn. He said, many of us have felt the frying pan into the fire reality of job hopping, leaving outdated tech or micromanagement only to find more of the same. But one rare green flag I always look for is the true blue professional leader. Beyond autonomy and tech, we need leaders who actually understand how to build and protect synergistic teams. A great desk and a high salary are the baseline, but a leader who fosters a high-functioning culture is what stops the revolving door we've seen lately. We've all heard people don't quit jobs, they quit managers. If more managers position themselves as leaders seeking to grow a professional team, they'd have a queue loaded with serious talent. I saw this firsthand when I was hiring a team field of experts. The culture you build is your best recruiting tool. And I will say this, as a recruiter, the absolute #1 place that you can go to find good talent is not me, although I mean I am, but I'm the number two. I'm the number two, right? The #1 is your current team. Referrals and a referral program on your current team is the best way to build a team. And a lot of times people tap out, and there's only so much you can do here. But if you have a team that loves working for your company, they're going to tell their friends about it. They're going to post online about it. They're going to go in the forums, in the Facebook groups, and the Reddit groups, and they're going to talk about how awesome it is to work at your company. They're going to go on Glassdoor and they're going to rate you. And so that's the best way you can build a team, is have good leadership, build a strong team, and then refer people out. And then, you plug in Crew Talent Group to that, and we're going to supercharge that, right? We're going to help you build out a referral program. We're going to help introduce you to more people who hopefully will introduce us to more and more people, and kind of continue that cycle. But the #1 thing that you can do to build a good team is to have good leadership, have good processes, be intentional about your strategy, especially when it comes to recruiting and building teams. And then, like referrals, build a good team, get a good solid core group, and they will bring their friends. And especially if they can advocate for your company and what it's like to work there. If you're building a good team, if you've got good leadership, if you've got good processes, it's only going to build and build. And that's how you win. It's super competitive right now, as we know, as we talk about every week here. So, boom. That's what I got here for my first question of the day. And now I'm going to pop into just questions that I've gotten in my DMs, in my email this week. If you've got burning questions, if you want me to review your resume live, if you want to just chat and hang out, I'd love to see you in the comments today. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you're having a great week so far. I got my Red Bull. Woo. Go. Okay. Just curious. I've got 14 years of property adjusting experience. I was thinking about trying casualty. Any advice? Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot on this show. Right now, the hottest jobs in the claims industry are casualty adjusters. Casualty is like injuries, basically, right? So there's tons and tons and tons of different types of casualty claims. Slip and falls, you know, I ate a bad gas station hot dog, injury in like complex kind of commercial claims. You rented a Turo, your buddy was driving, you got hit by a car. Like these are a little bit more complicated than your standard property claims. You know, this could be someone got hurt working at a gym, someone got injured at a ski area. Doesn't happen to me, you know. I just do tricks. But casualty is an awesome space right now, and the property claims that we're seeing, kind of the rinse and repeat hail claims, catastrophe claims, are becoming easier to handle using things like AI. So those, not to say those jobs are going away, but it's not as, that field is not as competitive as it maybe used to be. Whereas the casualty jobs right now, if you were to go online, go on Indeed, go on the job boards, which are terrible, I hate them, but if you go and look and see kind of who's hiring right now, it's a lot of casualty jobs. Casualty TPA space is really hot right now. A lot of startups, a lot of companies that are buying firms, private equity dollars. That's where the kind of the interesting job opportunities are at right now. And so my advice would be 100% to try this out. Definitely recommend it. If you got 14 years of property experience, you can take that experience and it's going to help translate. So what advice would I give you to kind of make that jump? I would try and find a company that does a little bit of both, maybe a TPA, and so you can kind of get your foot in the door. I would be really intentional about reaching out to people and saying, this is what I want to do. Position yourself as not the property person who's looking for a new job, maybe in casualty, but position yourself as, I'm going to work in casualty and I'm trying to figure out where my home is going to be. You may have to start a little bit lower on the totem pole and kind of work your way up to it, but I would check out some of these TPAs or a carrier job. You know, there's carriers that are hiring directly, mutual companies, but I would say there's a lot of opportunities specifically in the TPA space right now in casualties, and it's a really good place to be. A lot of future opportunities going to be there for sure. Good morning, Weston. What up, Weston? Me and Weston got some laps in at Winter Park, got some laps in at Steamboat this week. Incredible snow. Hello to the Catalyst community members. Shout out Catalyst community. Catalyst community just announced their Ignite conference next year. I believe the date's September 3rd. I will for sure be there. It's going to be in Madison, Wisconsin, right next to the Capitol. I went last year. Incredible conference. Early bird pricing just dropped today. Go to the Catalyst community. Weston, if you could drop the link to Ignite in here, that would be sweet. Highly recommend checking out Ignite. The other thing, just with this question too, is like, what advice for job seekers just in general is you need to be leveraging social media in the year 2026 if you're a job seeker, or if you're not a job seeker right now, still leverage social media when you're not looking for a job, because it's going to make you just don't know what's gonna happen in this industry. We know there's been layoffs, there's been firms that have gone under, there's been changes, even just like in where people are writing policies, where they need adjusters. And so you never know what tomorrow is going to bring in this industry. The best time to look for a job is when you have one. But even if you're not looking for a job, if you are looking for a job, you should be using social media, LinkedIn, all these different platforms. If you're not, it's still a really, really good idea to build your social media professional image online. And in the future, if you know, you may have recruiters like me pop into your inbox and offer you opportunities that you haven't even thought of before. So one of the ways you can learn how to do all this, be a leader online, stand out in social media, is join the Catalyst community, and it's a lot of good resources. It's really what prompted me to kind of start this live stream. It's prompted me to post every day on LinkedIn. I got a TikTok now. Let's go hop over to my TikTok, Crew Talent Group. But yeah, check out the Ignite conference if you just want a little bit of taste of what that's like. You can meet some incredible leaders. You get to meet people like Weston, who's awesome with social media editing. He's a genius when it comes to making this stuff, producing the content. There's also incredible content creators at this conference. Emma Roloff, James Roloff, Loss Ratio. It was awesome. So highly recommend checking out Catalyst community. Also check out Ignite. There's the link right there. Boom. Cut the promo. There it is. But yeah, early bird pricing, September 3rd. You got plenty of time to plan around that. Perfect day. I think it's a Thursday right before Labor Day weekend. So, you can just go to Ignite and then boost into your Labor Day weekend plans. I don't know what I might be doing. Who knows? But I will be there. Madison, Wisconsin, September 3rd. Let's go, Weston. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, we'll keep rocking. Just to kind of wrap up this question. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is the move right now for people in property, especially if you're getting burned out of property. I think property is a fantastic place to be. Homeowner claims, property claims are it's a good industry. It's a good place to be, but casualty, I think, is going to be kind of sky's the limit in terms of what's going to be like next in terms of claims, and to specialize and to become more, to make your skill set more valuable. These are some of the skill sets that they're really going to be looking, and they're cool claims, and it's really interesting stuff. You don't think about it, but some of these cyber claims, some of these like product liability claims are really interesting and fun and a little more challenging and require a little bit more like thought, and it's a good place to be. So check it out. Emma in the comments, it was so great to have you last year, and this year the weather will be so nice. Yeah, it's gonna be warmer this time. That'll be nice. But no, Madison, that was my second or third time in Madison. Awesome conference. Location is incredible. Right next to the Capitol. You just step outside the hotel and the Capitol's right there. Good food, good restaurants, good people. We'll see you there. This is another question. I pulled this off of Facebook. The Facebook forums, they give me anxiety, headaches, stress, negativity at times. I saw this and there's like a ton of comments that were pretty nasty. So I wanted to talk about it on the live stream. I've been a staff adjuster my entire career. How does one transition into independent adjusting? If you're new to the industry, if you're kind of looking into this as a career, there's a couple different ways that you can do this as a career. One of the ways is the more traditional route, which is what we refer to as staff, where you go and get a job at an insurance company, at a TPA, a claims company directly, and you're an employee. You get a paycheck every 2 weeks. You get benefits, you get healthcare, you get PTO, all that stuff. It's awesome. Great careers, right? The second side of that a lot of people decided to go down is called independent adjusting, where you don't work as a full-time adjuster. You work as a contractor. You're going to go set up an LLC. You're going to work for yourself. You're going to take claims from different claim companies. A lot of times direct from independent adjusting firms or TPAs. Sometimes carriers may send you a claim directly. Basically your own company, your own boss. You got to do your own marketing. You got to have your own tools. You got to pay for your own Xactimate, all this stuff. So why would you be an independent adjuster? The big reason people do it is, one is the flexibility and the ability to be your own boss and kind of do work at your own pace, or you accept the work that you don't want, or that you want, and say no to the work that you don't want. But the second thing is the potential for money is higher on the independent side, especially when it comes to things like catastrophes, hurricanes, large hailstorms. You can go work a storm for a couple months, make a whole boatload of money, and then not work for a while. And so a lot of people want to go the independent route because there's the potential for more money, but there's a potential for years like last year where there's not a whole lot going on, and so it's not you don't have that guaranteed W-2 paycheck every week. So transition to staff to independent is great because if you're new to the industry, you can learn, you can work at a company that puts you through claims college, that pays for your certifications, that pays for your licensing, that does all this stuff for you. And then after doing that for a while, sometimes people decide to transfer. Now, the comments in this specific Facebook question were like, don't do it, it's terrible, it's awful, don't. I'm not going to be here and say that. I think independent adjusting is a great career, especially if you are really good at your job and you know what you're doing, and you can go rock out 40 hail claims in a week. And so how do you transition to do it? I would say probably catastrophe is going to be your best bet. I would kind of get everything ready, have everything ready to go, and then maybe make that transition when hail season comes. I would start getting on rosters. I would start reaching out to independent firms, start meeting recruiters, reach out to me, head over to my website, fill out a little application. I'd love to schedule a little call and chat more, kind of what I'm seeing. But that's what I would do is start getting on roster, start getting on the mailing list, start seeing what the opportunities are like if you're getting calls while you still have your job. And then once you're getting more calls and getting more opportunities, then kind of make that transition when it makes sense for you. Another thing that I don't think people think about when it comes to like independent adjusting is kind of the middle of the road solution here is could you look at a job specifically at a claims company as a full-time adjuster? Now, this isn't like traditional independent adjusting where you're making, you're a contractor. You're still working full-time for an independent adjusting firm, but your ability to make more money is typically commission-based. And so if you're working for a company as a full-time W-2 adjuster, you're still going to be making a percentage of that fee schedule. It's going to be less maybe than a traditional 1099 contractor independent adjuster, but sky is the limit in terms of how much you can do. So if you can rock out claims, some of the people that have made the most money in this industry that I know work as full-time claims adjusters for independent firms. So that's another thing that you can look at. It's not just one or the other. I guess you're still technically staff for a company, and so you're still getting a W-2 paycheck, but having kind of that commission base without going full, throwing your salary out the window as a independent, it can be a good option if it's right for you. And that's another way to kind of break into some of these other lines of business. If you go to work for a company as an adjuster, maybe you get promoted to a general adjuster and they start sending you kind of different types of claims. Maybe you get written into a policy for a company, and they send you all their claims. Maybe it's a school system and they're sending you all their slip and falls and things like that. So that's another route that you could take if you're a property adjuster working for an insurance carrier and you're kind of wondering about this whole IA thing. Go check out some of these independent firms, these TPAs that are hiring full-time adjusters and paying them commission. Fantastic opportunities. Boom. We're rocking, we're rolling, half past the hour. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream. Got my trap horn. We're hanging out live. My office is open. If you got questions, drop them in the comments. If you're hanging out, say hello. You can also go to my website, crewtalentgroup.com. The link is in the comments. You can ask questions live. Scan this QR code. We're chatting, talking all things careers and claims. You got questions about resume, interview tips, getting jobs, what the market's like. That's what we're here for. We're going to keep rocking. This is a question I get 5 times a week, and I want to call it out. People reach out to me on LinkedIn. People reach out to me on Facebook. Hey, do you have any work in Texas? Hey, do you have any work? I live in Orlando. Hey, do you have any work? And I'm not trying to call out anyone specifically here because I get this like constantly, but you gotta try and make yourself stand out. It's a competitive field right now. And so especially if you're an independent adjuster looking for property claims, don't call your recruiter up and say, hey, do you have any work in this area? Because we're just gonna be like, nope, that's it, click, hang out, So think about how you want to position yourself, kind of how you're marketing yourself. to recruiters, to potential employers, to claims managers, people who have the ability to send you claims, and try and like reframe this question. Hey, I'm an experienced property and auto claims adjuster and inspector, and I handle claims in this region. You know, I have these licenses, I have these certifications. I'd love to chat with you more about what opportunities you might have and see if we can align on opportunities. Like, I don't want, as a recruiter or like the claims managers that I work with or people in the industry, we don't want to just send a claim to somebody. We want to partner with somebody and build a long-term relationship that's like mutually beneficial. And it's not just like I'm throwing you a football. You know, I want to work with you long term. I want to see what skills you have. I want to see how that might fit into my team, see if that can meet some needs. And you as an adjuster, you should be trying at least to make relationships with a few firms. You know, some people, depending on where you live, you might have to work with more, but you want to work with, you know, 2 to 3 firms. Some people get all their work from 1 to 2 firms, you know, and it kind of just depends on the person. But think of it as more as like, you want to build a good relationship with the hiring manager, with the recruiter, with the company, so you can get long-term work. So the whole, like, I get, this is the cold DM I get all the time. Do you have any work in here? Maybe. What kind of work? You know, what kind of work do you do? What's your experience been like? What types of claims do you handle? Are you licensed in the area? Which, you know, I have so many questions. It's just such a, not a great cold opener. So try and improve that opener. Try and come up with like a little pitch. If you're popping in the DMs of recruiters, maybe just start with a little introduction. Hey, I'm a claims adjuster in Orlando, and I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm trying to make some more connections. I'd love to chat. Like, that's way better of a cold LinkedIn message to me or on Facebook than, do you have any work in Florida? Boom. Here we are, hanging out, claims recruiter office hours. We're rocking through some questions this morning. If you're just joining us, say hello in the comments. We're gonna rock through some questions still that I've found in my DMs over the last week, or the questions that people have sent in. And if you want to chat, the floor is yours. Drop it in the comments. Say hello in the chat. That's what we're here for. How do I transfer from IA into a claims management role? This is a question I get periodically, and what I will say to this question is you have to be incredibly intentional about how this works, and it's difficult to move from a role as an IA claims adjuster into a management role. So how do you do it? It can be done. I've seen it done, and it's possible. It's difficult. So what you need to do is, first, you need to figure out if you're okay taking a pay cut. Because if you're a top level independent adjuster, you are going to make less money as a claims manager. And that's a fact. And maybe long term, as you work up into management, can kind of go up into director level roles. You could, the sky, you know, the limit's higher, but certainly if a hurricane hits tomorrow, your ability to make money as an independent adjuster is going to be higher. You're going to be making more money than the claims managers. And so are you willing to sacrifice that short term for like the long-term career growth? So that's something you got to kind of look at hard in the mirror and see if you're really serious about it. So how do we do it? I would say the best entry from IA into management at an IA firm is going to be file review. And again, like, you're going to take a pay cut in the short term to do this. But what happens is these companies need people for QA, they need people for file review. And then as things scale up, that's who they're kind of looking for into their team leads, into their kind of claims management roles going forward. So that's one way you can do it. Another way that you could do it is you could go look at it like a staff job, and you're probably going to have to take a lateral move from like an IA to a claims specialist with the hopes of like moving up in the future. The chances of a company hiring you from a carrier into a management role from like an IA position are not great. And the truth of it is you just don't have the skills. It's two totally different skill sets. You may be the best adjuster on the planet, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good at managing people. And it's hard to get that managing people experience as an IA. So other ways that you could do it is desk assignments. If you're working with a carrier, like if you're working a specific desk assignment with one carrier for a storm, and you're getting really good at that, sometimes they'll move you up into a team lead position. And then sometimes carriers will look to hire people from those roles directly onto their staff. That's another way I've seen it. Worked with someone last year who we hired on as maybe 2 years ago, Helene, desk adjuster. She worked her way up into a team lead role on that assignment, working for the IA firm. Now she works as a claims manager for that same company directly. And so I've worked with her, saw that pathway. I've seen other people do the same thing. And so that's another way that you can do it. But yeah, I would say like file review is a really good entry point into claims management, working for IA firms. And you start as a QA reviewer, and then you just kind of get your hands dirty doing other things. Hey, you need help with this. Hey, you need help running down that person on that claim. Start trying to gain the experience and skills of a claims manager. And that's hard to do when you're out in the field working as an adjuster. Hey, maybe you're is a big storm and you finished up all your claims. There's no more claims. You can go back into that, the training room and help some of the newer adjusters out. And sometimes the firms will even hire you on as a trainer for those specific storms. So yeah, it's tough out there, but that's what I'd recommend. Let's see here. Rocking through some questions here today. Okay. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream. We go live every Tuesday. Talk about careers and claims. Hope you're having a great day. If you're hanging out, say hello in the comments. We're rocking through some questions that I've gotten in my inbox this week. So chances are, if someone's got a question or you got a question on your mind and it's burning, chances are there's someone else out there in the universe that's wondering the same thing. So that's the whole idea of this live stream. Is we're here to just help people level up in their careers. Totally open format. We're hanging out. I typically prepare some questions that I get in my DMs throughout the week, go over it, but totally open format. Say hello in the comments. Let's chat. Okay, my Texas designated home state has been expired for a couple years. What do I need to do to reinstate this? Bad news for you. Texas license. A lot of people have a Texas designated home state license. They use that as their standard license. Whether they might live in Texas, then it would be just a home state license. But a lot of people, let's say you live in Nebraska, they don't require a license. People will get their Texas license. And so what do you need to do? You need to get your CEs done, and then you need to depending on how long it's been, you may need to retake the test. And I will say another thing with the state of Texas is you need to pay fines. So if you're an adjuster out there and you're thinking about maybe not renewing your license, or your license has not been renewed, cancel your license in Texas. Because if it lapses, it's expired, you have to pay fines to reinstate it after a certain time. So if you cancel it, you don't have to repay those fines. You're still going to have to retake the test. You're still going to have to do all that stuff. If it's like 2 weeks, if it's been expired for like 2 weeks, a little bit different. You can still, you'll still have to pay a little bit of a fine. But like, if your license has been expired for like a year or two, you're gonna have to pay a $500 fine in addition to the licensing fees, in addition to the class, so don't let your Texas license go expired. If it does, you're going to have to probably retake the test. But one thing that you can do, and this is really easy, and this goes for any state basically, is go to the Department of Insurance for that specific state. And a lot of times they'll have an email or a phone number that you can call and chat with somebody. And so call them up and say, hey, my license been expired. You know, here's my situation. They'll look you up. They'll tell you what you need to do. They'll get you handled. If you have specific licensing questions and you don't know where to go, reach out to me directly. I'm happy to kind of walk you through it, look over your specific scenario. And we'll go from there. So yeah, make sure to get your CEs done on time. Make sure to pay your renewal fees. Otherwise the fines will add up. It's like $500 if it's been a couple years. So quick topic switch. What's your favorite mountain you've ever skied from Weston? I think, dude, Winter Park with you on last week, man. I love Winter Park. It's one of my favorite mountains on the planet. Second favorite mountain would be Aspen, Colorado. Incredible skiing, difficult to get to, kind of annoying. Awesome hot springs, awesome vibes, awesome mountain. Love skiing Aspen. Steamboat's also incredible. There's too many good ones. What's your favorite mountain? I'd be curious to hear what's your favorite. I skied Palisade a couple years ago. I'm gonna go back again this year or next year, 2027. The Reno conference is in. Or the NACA conference next year is in Reno, so I'll be attending the NACA conference this year, here in 2027, and I'm gonna get a couple ski days, hopefully up at Palisades, Tahoe. Got the. I was trying to look at the emote. Oh, there it goes through. Okay, yeah, let's go. Yeah, dude, anywhere where there's snow, that's where I want to be. Truly. Snowbird, Utah. Snowbird's incredible. Alta for us folks with the 2 sticks. It's a pretty nice spot. Park City, another sick mountain. So many sweet mountains. Not this year, not a lot of snow this year, but good vibes in the mountains, you know. Utah has been struggling with weather. The whole West has been just a dry year. They're talking this year maybe the worst year in recorded history. When it's all said and done, it may be the worst snow year in recorded history out here in the Pacific Northwest for Oregon, which is a little bit scary when we're coming into fire season here. Snowbird's a good spot. I'm trying to think where else. I mean, Mount Bachelor in Oregon, yo. That's some good for spring skiing. If you want to go hit somewhere in April, head out to Mount Bachelor. The parking lot vibes are sweet. They got a whole camping section for the people with the vans and everything. It's a really cool mountain. It's not really near an airport, so they don't have big crowds. And try and hit up Canada next year. If anybody's been out to Japan, dude, I've heard Japan's pretty cool. That's on the list. Okay, let's keep rocking. Okay. Here's another question I get from time to time. Is my non-compete enforceable? How did this non-compete work? I signed this non-compete. How does this work? I'm not a lawyer. I can't answer your specific individual non-compete questions. But what I can say is this is something that is negotiable a lot of times in your hiring process. And so from like my perspective as a recruiter, I can kind of talk about what I see. But one, if someone has a non-compete and they tell me this, it does give me pause as a recruiter, because the last thing I'm going to do is place someone who's then going to get sued by their company and have to quit or whatever. But is your non-compete actually enforceable? You're going to have to talk to a lawyer about that. You're going to have to get someone involved who knows a little bit more about how these things work than I do. But what I will say is, if you're a job seeker, if you're if you're looking at accepting a job, really read the terms and see kind of what they want you to agree to, and don't agree to things that you know that might put you in a bind. And so I've negotiated this personally in my past before, like, hey, I don't sign no competes. I don't like it. I think they're going away, but I also haven't been at like a VP type level, so it's a little bit different maybe at kind of the top levels. And so maybe it would make sense to have one. What I'm seeing a lot more now is like what's called a non-solicit, and I think that makes a lot more sense. And I think that's kind of a middle ground where the company doesn't want you to solicit their employee. If you go at a company and leave, they don't want you to bring everybody, all your friends with them. You know, I think that's a little bit more palatable from a candidate standpoint. Usually there's a time limit on it, so it expires after a year or so. And then specifically, like, you can't go after their book of business. So they don't want you logging into their CRM, pulling a list of all their clients, and then reaching out to them after you quit. And I think that's totally understandable from a company standpoint. So non-solicits are kind of what I'm seeing more and more of, less non-competes. I think with the previous administration, they were trying to ban non-competes, and then it kind of got held up in courts, and then the current administration that's not necessarily a priority. And so I don't know what's going to happen with non-competes in the future, the legality of them. I would say if you have one and you're looking to take a job at another company, I would speak with a lawyer and make sure you're good. Yeah. But yeah, if you have questions, unfortunately, I probably won't be able to answer them, but talk to a legal professional who knows a little bit more. But yeah, negotiate that in the hiring process. I had a company once that wanted me to, I had a company when I was 19 years old that wanted me to sign a non-compete saying I wouldn't work at any competing recreation company. And I was like, what is, I was working as I was working on a climbing wall. I'm like, any recreation company, so I can't work at, you know, like what? So I didn't sign that non-compete. I told them I wouldn't sign it, and they said, okay, whatever. So cool. Keep on rocking if you're still with us. Thanks so much for joining. We got some time left today, so say hello in the chat. Don't be a stranger. Otherwise, I've got questions here that I get throughout the week. We're just going to keep rocking. Okay. I saw this on Facebook, and I wanted to talk about it. I thought it was a really, really good post. And I think something that people struggle with or look at, and so I want to chat about it. I strategically took a $42,000 a year entry-level auto job at a major carrier just to get them to pay for my licenses and training. My ultimate goal is 6 figures in property, cat or large loss, because I don't want to work the feast or famine of IA work. What is the playbook to jump from 42,000 stepping stone to 100,000? Fantastic question, and I think this is doable. I don't. Again, you get in these Facebook groups, so much negativity. You know. I think it's like important to be realistic on a timeline of how this works and what your career trajectory might look like. But yeah, I mean, your entry level in auto, $42,000 a year for an entry level auto position is probably what you're going to see. But most people that take that job don't want to work that job forever, and so it's a great entry point. If you're new to the industry, if you have no experience, if you want to go work for a carrier that's going to put you through an awesome training program, whoever this comment is from, like, that's the move, right? And so how do you get from there to $100,000? Well, it's going to take some time, especially if you've just been doing this for about 6 months. It's not going to happen overnight. But what I would say is try to move around within that company. Once you're killing it at auto, I would say like one position for carrier specifically that pays a little bit more is catastrophe positions, and that's going to be kind of your entry into property, especially if that's where you're going to want to go. And so that's what I would look at next. And sometimes it takes a little time. You have to work at a company for a year or two to like get promoted internally, but that's what if I was in your shoes right now, that's what I would be looking at, is like moving internally in that same company to a catastrophe property position, and doing that training, getting you on that training plan. And then a lot of these companies, I know people that work for staff companies as adjusters and individual contributor roles that do make that amount of money. And a lot of it comes from catastrophe bonuses. And so that's a really good entry point. I would say move into catastrophe if you can. You may have to take a lateral position at a different company in order to kind of move into that. So if it's not happening at your current company, or if you don't see that path, you may have to move. But another thing here is just to have a candid conversation with your current manager about your goals. And if your current manager gets mad or like offended by that, I think then you have kind of a reason to maybe question that team. I think if you're working for a good leader and you have these goals, for the most part, if you have a good manager, they're going to want to support you in those goals, even if it means that they got to find someone else to work that backfill your position. So talk to your manager, say, hey, this is kind of my 5-year plan. This is where I want to be. Like, what do I need to do? Like, can you help support me in this? What would you recommend? And try and move laterally within your own company to a CAT role. From a CAT role, you can start looking at other lines of business. Auto background, as I've been talking about for weeks, is a fantastic start because you get really integrated into claims processes with not as complicated claims. But then the sky's the limit in terms of where you can go with auto, because there are extremely complicated, litigated, complex auto claims. So starting there, moving into property, kind of moving up into general lines, doing some more GL, doing some commercial auto, even catastrophe property is a good way you can make 6 figures as a claims adjuster. So a bunch of different ways you can go. Another way that you can look at this, and I will say this, is like TPAs a lot of times will pay a little higher than a traditional carrier. The benefits won't be the same. But if you're looking for, if your goal is to make the most amount of money that you can, like a TPA would not be a bad route to go. And also a good way to get introduced to different lines of insurance. So check out TPAs too. Let's see here. Okay, I got one more question from my DMs this week. So we'll rock it. We got a couple minutes left. Didn't finish the Red Bull. No heartburn yet. I'll get heartburn later. I'm out of coffee. Just got back late last night. But we still make time for this live stream every Tuesday at 11 a.m. You're still with us. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, let's keep going. I'm in need of some advice. I've probably applied to every adjuster job in my state and never get interviews. I've had my license for all lines except workers' comp, thinking it would make me more desirable to employers, but nothing. I'm truly lost. I've tried finding recruiters with no luck. Any advice would help. This is another one I saw on Facebook. What advice? I would say my number one piece of advice would be to watch the Claims Recruiter Office Hours live stream every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Time, because we talk about this every week. But in all reality, so if it's not working right now, a couple things. One, for entry-level positions, it's tough right now. I'll just say that straight up. Like it's not an incredible market right now, just mainly due to the lack of claims over the last couple of years. So that will change. It's March 3rd. We're starting to see some hail. We're starting to see some tornado action. We're starting to see some claim activity. And so you'll start to see these things kind of pick up. But another thing that you can do if you're in this position is start looking at entry-level roles. And it may not necessarily need to be in claims, but try and find a company that you could grow with and try and take an entry-level job. Underwriting assistant is a really good entry level into these types of roles, even though it's not necessarily in claims. It's super entry level. You get some training, you start learning about how the insurance ecosystem works, and then you could transfer into a claims type role. Also, it's not sexy or whatever, but like the first notice of loss, kind of your express claims, like kind of these claims processor entry level positions. A lot of times these pay hourly, very entry level, but it's a good starting point. And remember when I first started my career as a recruiter, I was doing a lot of recruiting for an independent firm for State Farm, and State Farm has a really good kind of entry-level system with starting people as CSRs or starting people. They have a unit called, I don't know if they still do, but it was like Auto Express, which was like the really quick, easier auto claims. And they would hire claims processor roles. And at the time, it was like 24 an hour. I don't know what it is now, and it's, things have changed a lot. But I just want to highlight that as like that's a good entry point to start in kind of these entry level roles where you're maybe not doing the claims handling work, but you're processing claims, you're taking phone calls, you're starting to learn a little bit more about the process, and it might be a little bit lower entry point than an adjuster role right now. And you don't have to take this job thinking that it's going to be forever. But take this job working for 6 months, get really good at it, and get promoted somewhere else in that company, or go work somewhere else after that. So that's what I would recommend, is if you're having a really hard time right now, even just getting interviews, start checking out some more kind of like entry-level roles that aren't necessarily claims handler positions, but are kind of in the same vein: underwriting assistant, claims processor, customer service rep, first notice of loss. A lot of these are going to be call center based. And so you got to be okay being on the phones. You have to be okay in like kind of a high volume call environment. Claims desk roles are high call volume environments. And so a CSR role is going to be a lot more phone calls, but it's a good way to kind of get you into that system, understanding how the process works, getting some exposure to the claims, working with some of the claims teams, and it's a good kind of clear progression upwards. Outside of that, I would say keep applying, keep trying, reach out to me directly if you've got questions on things like this. I'd love to chat, talk to you about it. So, yeah, it's an awesome career. Claims adjusting is an incredible place to be. It's changed my life. I love it. So, highly recommend it to certain people. This career is not made for everybody, but it's a really cool place to be. Also join RISE, another thing you can do is join RISE, Rising Insurance Professionals organization. It's totally free to join. Just look up, I don't have a link to it right now, but look up RISE Insurance Professionals online, join for free, join the mentorship program, look at job opportunities there as well. Yeah. Well, that's all we got. Kind of on a slow Tuesday here. I'm tired. I got back late, but we are here every week, every single Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's 9 on the West Coast where I'm at, so it's 10 o'clock, I guess, now. But every single week we do this live stream. Whole goal is to help people advance in their careers in the claims industry. If you're still here with us, thanks for sticking it out to the end. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week. Doodles.